Good evening, America. Good morning, Indonesia. Welcome to Bincang Karya, or in short, Bianca. In English, we may call it Creation Talks. Bianca is a multi-stakeholder discussion from initiated by the Education and Culture Attach of the Indonesian Embassy in Washington, D.C., USA. The prime objectives of this forum are to discuss ongoing research, propose alternative solutions, and foster collaboration in research and education. Today's webinar aims, first, is to establish direct communication and collaboration in the field of medical, biology, and chemistry between higher education in the USA and Indonesia. Second, to increase the number of Indonesians pursuing a higher degree in the states under the Indonesian government scholarships such as LPDP, Indonesian Endowment Fund for Education, under the Ministry of Finance, Fulbright MNF, American Indonesian Exchange Foundation, and other sources of funding. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Brigadier General Retired Sorelado, medical doctor, infectious disease consultant, PhD, an internist at the Indonesian Army Central Hospital Gatusbroto. Also, the director UPN Veteran Health Research Institute, UPN Veteran Jakarta. And also for this webinar, as the representative of the Council of Rectors Indonesia State University or MRP-10I. In today's webinar, we have invited representatives from universities in the USA, namely University of Auburn University, Indiana University Bloomington, University of Hawaii at Manoa, Indonesia students who are now pursuing doctoral and master degrees and in aforementioned university. We will also have the opening remark from the Director of Scholarship LPDP. This webinar will be conducted in English at the first hour and Bahasa Indonesia in the second hour. Before the talks begins, let's see a short video of Bianca. Okay, in the part 2, opening remark from Director of Scholarship LPDP, the Honorable Mr. Dwi Larso, PhD. Time is yours.
Thank you, Pak. Check sound is okay, Pak. Thank you so much, Pak Lardo, Dr. Lardo. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Good evening, USA. Good morning, Indonesia. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Honorable for sure, Professor Poppy Rufaidah, who initiated this great event from Indonesian Embassy at DC, USA, Brigadier General Purnawirawan, Dr. Soroy Lardo. Last name is almost my name as well, Pak. Very close, Lardo and Larso. From RSPED, Gatot Subroto as a moderator. Honorable Speaker, Professor Smith from Auburn University, Professor Michaels from Indiana University, Bloomington, Dr. Bule, University of Hawaii at Manoa, Fajar Setiawibawa, our proud awardee of Fulbright Aminef doctoral program at Auburn University, Claudia Antonica, proud student at doctoral program Indiana University at Bloomington, Lovina Angelia Suryo Abdi, student at doctoral program at University of Hawaii Manoa. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of LPDP, I am representing Pak Andi Nadianto as President Director of LPDP to extend our sincere gratitude and appreciation to Indonesian Embassy in Washington, D.C., especially Professor Poppy Rufaidah for the initiative to organize the webinar series called BIANKA. With today's topic is very important, medical, pharmacy, chemistry, and biology. I would also like to thank to all speakers who have been willing to spend their time and share expertise, knowledge to inspire all of us. It's also an honor for me, especially to deliver this opening speech at this event, and also great opportunity to share and discuss one of the strategic issues in Indonesia in human resource development as well for research in this occasion actually on the health system. I think we know that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused challenges for healthcare professionals around the world globally, as also in Indonesia. While the COVID-19 pandemic continued to affect the global community until today, healthcare professionals like Dr. Lardo are always on the front line, and they have to look toward the future and how society prepare for future pandemic, including the pharmacies as well. They have been playing an active role in ensuring the supply of non-routine stock medicine in hospital during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think all of the staff in the health sector, it's very important right now and for the future. So Indonesia, even though like in the importance of the health, Indonesia has a shortage of hospital as well healthcare professional. On the average, only 3.77 doctors per 10,000 people according to WHO. This is a challenge for Indonesia, especially in rural area. Providing access to comprehensive healthcare services is very essential to promoting and maintaining healthcare for all Indonesian people. As part of Indonesia government effort to increase the number of healthcare professionals in Indonesia, LPDP has been awarding scholarship to Indonesian students to pursue master and doctoral degree in health and medical field at the most reputable university around the world since 2013. So it's about 10 years now. LPDP until now has awarded master and doctoral scholarship to almost 30,000 Indonesian students, and out of them, 14,000 already graduating or alumni of LPDP. Until 2022, LPDP has sent more than 1,000 awardees to USA, mostly in master degree, part of them actually on doctoral degree. Ladies and gentlemen, LPDP is an enduring fund to ensure sustainability of financing education program for the next generation. Investment result of the Education Endowment Fund are used to finance LPDP main services, which are scholarship for master doctoral degree as well for undergraduate degree. And the second service actually to support the research funding. LPDP was initiated in 2010 and its operation has been in place since 2012. According to its mandate, LPDP collected starting only $1 billion and now become 99.11 trillion IDR Indonesian rupiah, equivalent to almost $7 billion. In terms of scholarship services, I already mentioned we already granting almost 30,000, exactly 29,872 LPDP awardee for master and doctoral degree abroad and domestically. LPDP awarded come from all area in Indonesia, and we try our best to support to promote scholarship, especially in affirmative area or less developed area in Indonesia. For the research funding, since 2013, LPDP supporting cumulatively provided funding for more than 1,600 research projects with total funding almost $100 million. Ladies and gentlemen, I think in 2020, the start of pandemic COVID-19, LPDP was impacted significantly its operation. And in 2021, we bounced back and managed to provide record-breaking number of award granted, 4,266 in the year. And then in addition to 2,100 selected by the Ministry of Education, funded by LPDP. So total, the number record-breaking, more than 6,000 master and doctoral degree award in that year. And this year we will achieve more. Hopefully we will grant scholarship funding for more than 7,000 in the year of 2022. LPDP scholarship program fall in three main categories: affirmative for disabled, lower income student, and less developed region. Number two is targeted for civil servant, military, etc. And the third one is general public. The new program in affirmative scholarship is intended specifically to people of Papua and West Papua. And the recruitment this year increased by 3 times compared to last year. LPDP also actively initiated a wider partnership through its services, not only with academic sector, but also collaboration with industrial sector, government agency, and ministry, as well from foreign institution. As a closing remark, please allow me to conclude by reiterating that LPDP is always committed to providing scholarship grant and research financing for the exceptional talent in Indonesia to develop human capital, to build Indonesia research ecosystem better, and to improve our innovation for the betterment of our country, especially in the area of health management, health sector. We hope that this webinar will enrich knowledge and audience, and especially to increase our intake to American university that's a very top rank in the world. Thank you so much. Good evening, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for opening remarks from the Director of Scholarship, LPDP. In the second part of the discussion, I was accompanied by the education and research team. UPN Veteran Jakarta is one of the leading universities in Indonesia. The unique thing about this university is that it has the spirit of defending the country as one of its vision, with education and research being one of the main goals and objectives. The main priority is preventive medicine in the perspectives hospitals and communities bridged by scientific capacity. in the field of biomolecular and immunology with the hope of contributing to health and resilience of nation. At the beginning of this evening, allow us to share the proposed collaboration slide and video. Please. The video describes several research facilities at the Faculty of Medicine, UPN Veteran, namely the Integrated Biomolecular Lab, Stem Cells Lab, and Neuroscience and Hyperbaric Center. The first PPT. Okay. Okay, this is our vision towards a competitive university with state defense spirit. Infectious diseases are associated with better transformation to roles in biological and chemical roles. This is affected by geographical and epidemiological difference to support health empowerment, health education, support and collaboration and management of resources and territorial power. Currently, infectious disease is associated with various internal and external system interaction. The most obvious points are asymmetrical relation to infection strain, microbial changes, antibiotic resistance, and surveillance and infection control. This last show to prevent the spread of infectious disease, internal cohesion is needed, which includes coordination, surveillance at healthcare facilities of battlefield region, communication, identification and infection control, and information networking technology and education. We are open for education and research collaboration opportunities in medical science and technology, particularly in stem cells and neuroscience, development of biological materials, diagnostic tools, vaccine, and hyperbaric medicine. Together with our Faculty of Health Sciences, we are open for inter and multidisciplinary education and research collaboration in preventive medicine and community health, including epidemiological prediction, community metabolic modeling, nursing and nutrition research, and multidisciplinary support. Our educational and research developments prioritize multidisciplinary synergy to produce skilled healthcare workers in biomolecular laboratories integrated with our teaching hospital in fields of preventive medicine, community health, metabolic sciences, and use of technology in disaster situations. These photos are documented of educational and research activities that we have previously conducted with local communities. This photo shows about the activity of training medical disaster for the students of Faculty of Medical Medicine and Faculty of Health Science. Conclusion, UPN Veteran Jakarta as a competitive university seeks to develop cooperation in education and research in the field of biomolecular and community health based on the split of state defense, government support, education, and research cooperation with sister university to build better quality in medicine for the paper. And we continue to the video. Thank you for the attention. In this part, we will listen the presentation from university representatives with the following speakers. Professor Forrest Smith, Director of Graduate Programs, Drug Discovery and Development, Harrison School of Pharmacy, Auburn University. Prof. Scott Michaels, Chair of Biology Department, the College of Arts and Sciences, Indiana University, Bloomington. Dr. Matt Rachel Bolai, PhD, Associate Director for Research, John Evans School of Medicine, University of Hawaii at Manoa. Welcome our first speaker, Professor Forrest Smith. Prof, time is yours. Okay, if you don't mind, Prof. Forrest Smith, we change to the second speaker, Prof. Scott Michels. You may start your presentation. Prof, time is yours. Prof. Scott Michels.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you see my screen okay? Okay. Thank you for the invitation. So I'd like to just kind of give you a brief overview of some of the research and educational opportunities that we have at the University of Indiana in the Department of Biology. So my name is Scott Michels. I'm the professor and the chair of the department. So first off, I'd like to thank you for the invitation again and say that I've been lucky enough to visit Indonesia twice now. So I've been to Sulawesi and Halmahera, and it's a very beautiful country. I definitely look forward to visiting again sometime in the future, now that the COVID is starting to die down a little bit. So IU has a very large biology department. So we have about 52 tenure track faculty, 20 research scientists, 17 lecturers, about 26 postdocs, and 154 graduate students. And when you add in staff and the undergraduates to work in the lab, we have over 500 people working in the labs in our department. So it's a very large and diverse department. And we're spread across 3 buildings on our campus. So my laboratory is in this building here, which is Myers Hall. Most of the faculty are in an adjacent building called the Biology Building, and then a few are in another building, Simon Hall, but these are all very close to each other. So because our department is quite large, it's broken down into faculty groups. So we have one faculty group that focuses on evolution, ecology, and behavior, and has particular strength in evolution. the evolution of development, animal behavior, and disease ecology. The second section is genome, cell, and developmental biology. So this is where my research is. And there's a lot of work done with model systems here. So organisms that are easier to work on than humans. So the plant Arabidopsis is one of the main model systems we use, along with Drosophila, yeast, and C. elegans. And we have particular strengths in developmental biology, cell biology, and chromatin biology. So a lot of work with gene regulation and epigenetics. And then our final section is microbiology, which has particular strength in virology, antibiotic resistance. So there's some medical tie in there, infectious disease, bacterial adhesion. Turns out that bacterial adhesion is very important to a lot of pathogens being able to cause infection. So if you'd like to explore, our website is very good. And if you're thinking about areas that you might be interested in, you can find listings of our areas of research strength in these various areas. So my particular work is in plant gene regulation. So I'm in the plant biology group. But there's also strength in behavior, gene regulation, development, evolution, some cell biology, ecology, genomics and bioinformatics, microbial cell biology, microbial pathogens, and virology as well. So you'll be able to find descriptions of the faculty that are associated with these groups, as long as with research descriptions of all of our faculty. So one of the main ways that we're kind of hoping that we can contribute to or collaborate with Indonesia is through our PhD programs. So we have 3 separate PhD programs that align with our faculty divisions. One in evolution, ecology, and behavior, one in genome, cell, and developmental biology, and one in microbiology. So you can learn how to apply to these programs through our website. The application deadlines are usually December 1st. The application has a number of parts, and many of them are pretty straightforward. So there's an application form with basic information. You'll need transcripts, a CV or resume, kind of listing your various experiences, and official results from the TOEFL or other English exam. The one thing I did want to take a second to explain a little bit is the personal statement and letters of recommendation. So I think you'll find that most applications to PhD programs involve some sort of a personal statement, but sometimes it can be a little bit confusing as to what exactly that is supposed to be. So for the most part with personal statements, the admissions committees are trying to get an idea of what area of research you're interested in, what sorts of experience you have in terms of research, and what you'd like to do in the future. So if you can provide a clear explanation of exactly what type of research you've been doing and what sort of research you'd like to do in the future, that's extremely helpful. And you also need letters of recommendation. And if these can be from people that have some experience with your research abilities, either in lab courses or in research projects, those are the best type of letters of recommendation to get. And I would say at Indiana or any university that you're considering in the US or elsewhere, you should feel free to contact the faculty. So when you go through those websites and you identify faculty whose research that you think is interesting, you should definitely contact them. And it's also a good idea to mention those in your personal statement whenever you're thinking about which sorts of labs you might be interested in. It's sometimes helpful to the admissions committees to know specific people that you might be interested in working with. So student support, as with many PhD programs in the US, students receive a tuition waiver and health insurance. So you will not have to pay tuition and you will be provided with health insurance. At Bloomington, the annual stipend is $27,500 US. And Bloomington is a fairly affordable place to live. So it's not a big city. So it's about 150,000 people. So it's relatively small and the cost of living is relatively low. And that rate of funding is guaranteed for 5 years. And the support may come from a combination of different sources. So you will always be guaranteed that amount of money as a stipend, but it can come from research funding. If you're working on a faculty member's grants, you can be paid that way. You can be paid for helping to teach courses, or there are fellowships available in the department as well. So the department is a very collaborative environment. So we have a lot of faculty, and there are very few boundaries in science these days. So even myself, I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry, a PhD in biochemistry, and now I'm chair of a biology department. So the lines are very fuzzy. And one of the things that I think is distinctive about Indiana University in Bloomington is the fact that we have very good facilities. So you can have access to cutting edge technologies in all sorts of different fields. And what's nice is that not only do we have these pieces of equipment and these facilities, but we have people to train you on how to use them. So things like the Center for Genomics and Bioinformatics, we have DNA sequencers that can sequence billions of DNA molecules at a time overnight. We have a Center for Electron Microscopy, which is becoming very important for determining protein structures. And there's many of these things with high resolution microscopy, flow cytometry, animal behavior. There are many of these things, and they're all available for any students to use and get training and expertise. So with that, I hope that some of you will come and join us and send in applications this fall, and hopefully we'll have a chance to meet you and maybe see you in Bloomington. So our website is very good. It contains all sorts of information about how to apply and what to expect when you come to grad school. And also you're welcome to contact me as well. So this is my email address. So with that, I am happy to take any questions you might have.
BIANKA.
I see somebody's a fan of epigenetics. That's good. I should say that in a few minutes, Claudia, one of our graduate students, will be talking a bit too, and we'll give you a firsthand account of what it's like being a graduate student in Indiana.
Thank you for presentation, Prof. Scott Michaels. Now welcome the second speaker, Dr. Matt Rachel Maulai, PhD. You may start your presentation.
Sorry, was that Dr. Boulay?
Okay.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to share. I'm here from the University of Hawaii. I'm the Associate Director for Research at the University of Hawaii. I'm at the John A. Burns School of Medicine. So hearing our focus on health, that is very important to us, and also to encouraging diverse representation in health sciences. We very much want to partner with Indonesia. We've been very blessed to have prior Indonesian students and even postdoctoral researchers. In fact, I wanted to take a minute just to highlight one that we were very pleased to have with us, and to show that we have this history of encouraging participation. One of the things that I like to hear when I looked back to this article out of our news of an Indonesian MD, PhD with us, was her comments about what it was like to be here at the University of Hawaii. And she said, "I feel at home instantly. I've been grateful for the opportunity to work on exciting projects with amazing colleagues." And I think that that's what collaboration is about, right? It's about building things that even though we cross borders, we have communal goals and we build that community together. And so that's what today is about, is reaching out, finding those connections. You'll hear later from a current PhD candidate that we have with us in our developmental and reproductive biology PhD program. We have 5 graduate programs here. And before I show you a video of the one that specific Indonesian student is a part of right now, I wanted to emphasize the support. One of the things I was hearing is all of the scholarships, then the investment by Indonesia, but we too want to partner in that way. And we have scholarships. We have an endowment that can support all years of your PhD program. It is available to non-US citizens. Those coming from Indonesia would be eligible. And we also offer, similar to the other university, teaching assistantships. This is where you will teach our undergraduate sort of anatomy classes. And in exchange, you'll have an annual stipend. Monthly it comes in, it covers your medical, and it gives free tuition. You know, the tuition for our PhD programs, therefore, is covered by you in turn teaching our undergraduates. And this is available again and often encouraged for those who are non-US citizens to support. So one of the things I'll put here in the chat, some of the web links and of our research areas that we have, and also that particular student I was highlighting. And this next video, which is focused on just one of our graduate programs, but the one that you'll be hearing from a student later. So let me see if I can share this easily.
Aloha and welcome to the Developmental and Reproductive Biology Graduate Program at the John A. Burns School of Medicine, University of Hawaii, which offers master's and PhD degrees. The DRB program is small but highly specialized and unique nationwide. We are one of the very few programs in the US that focus on reproductive and developmental biology. We offer research opportunities in areas of gametogenesis, fertilization, embryogenesis, developmental biology, stem cells, congenital abnormalities, and anatomical imaging. Our students perform cutting-edge research, present their findings at meetings, and publish them in a variety of journals. They also engage in teaching and service outreach activities at the university.
The Developmental and Reproductive Biology program is closely associated with the Institute for Biogenesis Research, the IBR, which is a basic institute which studies reproductive biology, and the clinical department of the Department of Obstetrics, Gynecology, and Women's Health. The IBR developed several important reproductive biology discoveries over the time, such as the first ICSI, the first mouse that was the first sperm that was injected to an egg was done here. IVF studies were done here. The first transgenic mouse using the sperm was done here. And these studies have evolved into more genetically related studies where we're now doing even gene therapy. The Developmental Reproductive Biology program, the Institute for Biogenesis Research, and the Department of Gynecology form a triad. They can learn translational research where they do basic science research in the IBR, or they can do clinical research with the clinicians in the Department of Gynecology.
The DRB program offers a unique experience created through the dedication of our 20 faculty. Through these faculty members, the curriculum covers a specific focus on reproduction and development, while still offering a broad array of skills and academic interests. The DRB coursework prepares students for various careers after completing degrees. For instance, these program alumni become professors in academic facilities and biotech company specialists, such as embryologists.
I teach at Katilania Community College, Anatomy and Physiology, and I am also an embryologist at Fertility Institute of Hawaii. While at DRB program, I performed in vitro fertilization using mouse animal model, and just studied mammalian reproduction, focusing on sex determination and Y chromosome genes.
Being part of the DRB program and being mentored by Dr. Monica Ward was an amazing experience. It provided me with fundamental knowledge in male development, anatomy, and fertility. What I learned equipped me really well to undertake my first postdoc at Duke University with Dr. Blanche Capel, and my current postdoc at Wall Cornell Medicine with Dr. Dolores Lamb.
The DRB program influenced me in a variety of ways. I honed my skills in experimental design as well as manuscript and grant writing. I also learned a great deal about the values of being engaged in the scientific community. Now in my own lab, I try to pass on those same core skills and lessons to my students.
DRB acquires teaching assistant positions in physiology and anatomy, strengthening their preparation and competitiveness for medical school and other academic facilities. The translational research activities carried out by DRB students serve as senior parts. Some of our alumni chose medical school as a career path, and several have already progressed to become resident teachers.
Students are often financially supported by a graduate assistant program. Through this program, they are allowed to gain both skills in education and research while being able to financially support themselves throughout however long their tenure is here. I personally am a teaching assistant, and I've been working in the physiology department for about a few years now. And through my teaching experience, I've learned multiple things in the form of communication and understanding, and really developing a bond and understanding of how it is to actually educate students in the UH system. As a teaching assistant, it is hard work, and it's important for people to actually understand that they are a part of the system entirely, and that their work often makes a grand impact on the undergraduates.
Being in the DRB program has allowed me to both expand my own research skills and contribute to high impact research. Specifically, I have been using advanced gene targeting methods such as CRISPR to investigate Y chromosome gene function. When complete, our research will have large implications both for species preservation and for reproductive biology.
Our students come from all around the world with very diverse backgrounds, but I personally really enjoy how we're kind of brought together with the IBR staff, in that if we ever need help or have questions or any concerns, both academic or personal, we can contact faculty or another member of the IBR student group and receive a helpful answer that is personal and compassionate.
DRB for us is not just a purely working area. We also find time to get together during lunches, holiday celebrations, and birthday party, and even karaoke. The DRB students are like one large family where we care about each other and like each other's company.
Through the Developmental and Reproductive Biology program at the University of Hawaii, Manila, you will not only gain the knowledge and skills essential for your future career development, but you'll also be surrounded by supportive faculty, mentors, and peers. For more information, please visit our website. Thank you.
So I hope you get the sense of how committed we are to diverse student body, how we like to support our students, and we encourage you to reach out and join us.
BIANKA.
Thank you for presentation, Dr. Rachel Bowley, PhD. Now we welcome the speaker, Professor Forrest Smith. The time is yours. Okay. Okay, we continue question and answer. We have 30 minutes. The question one, what best advice to prepare potential students to pass your program, master and doctoral program, competitiveness ratio to pass the program, and GRR requirements? This is the first question for Dr. Michael and Prof. Scott.
So so that was preparation was the main question?
Yes. Potential students to pass your exam, your program, and competitiveness ratio to pass the program and the RE requirement.
Okay. So I would say the only formal requirement for the RA is English competency. So in order to be supported as a teaching assistant, which is important to have that option, the spoken English has to be good enough to pass an entrance exam. The entrance exam is not terribly difficult, but it is important. So I would say one of the big things is just speak English. To get practice speaking it with a lot of people in your daily life as much as you can, and that ends up being very helpful. So as far as exams go, in the program, you'll take courses. Typically for your first year, you'll probably take 2 courses per semester for maybe the first 2 years. And each course will have exams, probably much like the courses you're used to. At the end of the second exam, there's a more significant exam, which is called a qualifying exam or preliminary exams. And that will largely be based on the research project that you're working on and your ability to explain what the research is, what sorts of findings you're expecting to find, what the background literature is. So that will probably be the biggest exam. But we definitely hope that everybody passes those exams, and we try our best to get you prepared over the first 2 years for those exams.
Okay, please, Dr. Bore, from your university, about question 1.
Sorry, the question is?
What the best advice to prepare potential students to pass your program? Competitiveness ratio to pass the program and DRA requirement.
So our RA requirements, we have sort of a job application, and you put together your resume and you submit that kind of thing. And then when you're selected in that, then, so it is competitive, but we do have several of them to support students. But it is a process, so it would be a resume, and an interview process. For our program, we have very, very good retention rates and very, very good graduation rates. So we have not had a problem with students who are admitted through the application process going successfully to earning the degree. We have almost 100% completion with that. So I think as long as applying and being successful in the initial stage of application, I think that you'll be successful. And our faculty and our graduate program advisors are committed to making sure that you have the support systems to be successful in our graduate programs.
Okay, thank you. The question 2 for Prof. Scott Misha and Dr. Bowley: what source of funding other than LPDP could be offered from your program for potential students to pursue higher degree at your program? Please, Prof. Scott, the first.
So for PhD programs, all admitted students are supported for 5 years. So there's no need for special support to be found. It's just a regular condition. So everyone who gets admitted has 5 years of support guaranteed. And actually, we've never turned anybody down past the 5th year as well. So as long as you're in good standing, we'll take care of the finances, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Dr. Bowley?
So similarly, we will have full ride or multiple year support for students. We also offer an option beyond, so it's not all students admitted have all years are covered, but we do have many slots, and then we allow other slots for students where there isn't funding guaranteed, but they may come in. So this is where there's a good opportunity for partnership between the scholarships here, but also what we offer, and to see how that can be shared.
Okay. The question 3, how to connect your faculty member and you to establish academic collaboration in research in education? Prof. Scott, the first.
That is honestly a fairly difficult thing to do because I think all of our research projects are often very specific. I think the most effective way is just getting people together either on Zoom or in a conference so that they can actually talk with each other and learn more about the details of what each group is working on, and if there are areas where complementary strengths can come into play. I think, thinking of it as a biologist, Indonesia has so much biodiversity and so many interesting plants and animals and relationships between them that just don't exist in any other part of the world. So I think that is something definitely coming from a biology perspective, that could be something to really capitalize on and look at people who are working on things like ecology and disease and the environment and animal behavior and things like that, and find ways to get some of those folks interested in studying in Indonesia. I know I would like to do that very much.
Thank you, Prof. Scott Michaels and Dr. Morley. And the third speaker, Prof. Smith, will present his presentation. Prof, time is yours.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear.
Good, good. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I was having a lot of audio problems, and hopefully that is taken care of now. Well, good morning, Indonesia, I guess. Let me share my screen and see if this works. Yeah, can you guys see that now? This was just the title I was given, so I put it on a slide. Just a little bit of an introduction to myself. I'm Forrest Smith. I'm the Director of Graduate Programs at Auburn University School of Pharmacy. Actually, we're now College of Pharmacy. I keep forgetting that since it just happened. I've been here 35 years. My background is in medicinal chemistry, and I'm part of the Drug Discovery and Development department here. And I just want to give you a little bit of an overview of just Auburn and where we fit in this process. So Auburn is located in Auburn, Alabama. It's a relatively small town, pretty much a college town, although some additional industry growing up. A relatively large university of 30,000 students, around 1,300 faculty. We are among the top 100 R1 institutions in the nation. And we've been around a while, since 1856. I haven't been here quite that long, but it's been a while. The Harrison College of Pharmacy is housed in two separate facilities. The older Walker building is actually where I'm located. And this is primarily the classroom component. That's where our larger classrooms are. There are some researchers that are still here. And then we have a relatively new facility that was completed about 5 years ago, I guess, the Pharmacy Research Building. And these are geographically separated from one another, about a mile apart, I guess. And this is just purely devoted to research for the Drug Discovery and Development Group. We offer a number of different degrees. The Doctor of Pharmacy is our largest component. We have about 600 students within that program. And then we have master's and doctoral degrees in pharmaceutical sciences. And that's kind of a combined degree. So the master's and doctoral degrees include, these are all under this pharmaceutical science designation, medicinal chemistry, pharmacology, pharmaceutics. That's all within the Department of Drug Discovery and Development. And then health outcomes policy and research is a separate, somewhat smaller department within the college itself. Just to give you some idea in regards to the makeup of our student body, drug discovery and development has about 38 PhD students, around 4 master's students. We typically don't have a whole lot of master's students. We do have a few from time to time. I think that number has gone down as time has gone by. Health outcomes, as I said, was a smaller unit, around 14 PhD students and 14 master's students. As far as progression, and I'm not sure exactly how this compares to the other institutions that have given presentations tonight, but typically what would happen once someone was accepted into the program, they would select an advisor and a committee. They would then begin their research, but the first 2 to 2.5 years has a significant coursework component associated with it. Once they have finished their coursework, they are then qualified to sit for the written comprehensive exams. Assuming that they pass all sections within that, they are then to prepare and defend an original research proposal. Once that has been successfully defended, they are considered a PhD candidate. This is really for the PhD degree. And in the remaining years, then they are to complete the research and then write and defend a dissertation. Our process, it varies a lot depending upon which discipline you're in, but I would say on average, we're looking at about 5 years to complete the program. In terms of funding of our graduate students, you guys are sort of talking about this idea of home government funding. We have gotten funding from external funding agencies in the past, Fulbright and some others. We, like other institutions, offer graduate teaching assistantships. There are graduate research assistantships as well. The graduate teaching assistantships obviously has a teaching component associated with it. Students that are assigned in this go in and assist with labs or may help with grading or other administrative tasks associated with primarily the PharmD curriculum that's going on, the pharmacy students that are going on within the college. We do have some presidential graduate research fellowships. Those are funded by a variety of sources through the department. The vice president for research contributes some money, and the dean will contribute some money as well. We do have a few students that are self-funded. Not a lot, but we do have a few. Primarily, those students are seeking master's degrees. As far as areas of research, the drug discovery and development group, as I said, that encompasses pharmacology, medicinal chemistry, and pharmaceutics, just in terms of the areas that we are involved in. And there's a variety of different areas. We have about 14, 15 faculty members in drug discovery and development. Some of the major areas include a neuroscience center. We have people working on Alzheimer's, and there's a lot of interest in a variety of effects of cannabinoids, a lot of the pharmacology of cannabinoid receptors. There's several people working in the cancer area, and we have 1 or 2 people that are working in the cardiovascular area as well. As far as health outcomes, research and policy, what we refer to as HORP, that's the second department. Their focus is really medication-related outcomes, the economics of medications. It's what we have traditionally referred to as pharmacy administration. So public health, getting people motivated to improve medication outcomes is really sort of the focus of their work. Collaborative agreements, as everyone else, I guess we're really interested in establishing collaborative agreements. We, within the College of Pharmacy, have a number of agreements in place already, and certainly within Auburn University, there are numerous agreements that are put into place. Typically, this occurs through what we refer to as a memorandum of understanding, or an MOU. If you are interested, and this can be a variety of different things in terms of sort of serving as a pipeline for students, agreements between potentially organizations like your own or individual universities. We have established, for example, some what we call 3+2 degree programs where students will complete the first 3 years in their home country and then come to us for the last 2 years and be issued a, assuming they successfully complete the work, a master's degree. And part of the idea is this is a good training ground for potential PhD students for us. If you're interested, please contact me. You already had a question and answer session. Thank you for your time. I did want to make sure that you were aware that certainly one of the questions I might have was, in a small town like that, is there any Indonesian food available? And there is, actually. We do have a fusion restaurant that serves, I may mispronounce this, Indomie Kwa, which I believe is a ramen noodle soup that looks very delicious. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
BIANKA.
Thank you for your presentation, Professor Forrest Smith. One question about what best advice to prepare potential students to pass your program, master and doctoral program, competitiveness ratio to pass to the program and GRE requirements.
I'm sorry, I don't think I got all of that.
What best advice to prepare potential students to pass your program, master and doctoral program, competitiveness ratio to pass to the program, and GRE requirements?
The recommendations I would give, really, I think, our time management is very, very important. I think the thing that students in our program tend to struggle with most is balancing their coursework with their research. And being able to do that successfully, I think, is very key to having a good experience. I think, like some of the earlier presenters, students generally, if they make it to their third year, for example, they're going to get through the program. And for the most part, almost all of our students will graduate. We do from time to time, we have issues with students but that's a very, very rare occasion. And that's really what I think you need to be able to do to be successful. In terms of the other requirements, I think that the things that are important are what others have alluded to as well. And that is, there is an English requirement. And to the extent that you are proficient in English, that makes you a better candidate for our graduate teaching assistantships. And one of the great benefits associated with that is typically once you obtain a graduate teaching assistantship, you generally will be on that graduate teaching assistantship throughout your graduate career, for the most part. There are exceptions to that, but that's something that makes life a little easier, I think, and just in the sense that you have some guaranteed funding. If you're on a research assistantship, that may depend upon how long that, because those research assistantships are things that are derived from grants that the PI, the principal investigator, received. And those may end at some time, or they may not be renewed. So that funding is a little less secure than maybe a graduate teaching assistant would be. And certainly English is important for being able to be qualified for one of those positions. Hopefully that answered your question.
The second question, how to connect your faculty member and you to establish academic collaboration in research in education?
I'm sorry, how to connect?
Your faculty member and you to establish academic collaboration in research in education.
Well, we certainly, just to give you sort of a little bit of a background, our pharmacy program is a program that is, of course, it's not a research program. That is our pharmacy students. Those will be clinicians, and they will go out and practice pharmacy. So there's not a large educational, not a large research component to what they do. What I'm talking about as far as these graduate programs, of course, is the separate research program. But I think we do benefit a lot from the fact that one of the focuses of the pharmacy program really is education and educational theory. So there's a lot of crosstalk that goes along with our faculty that are research faculty, with the educational faculty that really are more associated with the PharmD degree. So there's a lot of that goes on. I think that tends to help make us somewhat better teachers as a consequence of that. But the other thing, and just in terms of connecting with the faculty members, certainly the easiest just because of the geographical separation is just to become familiar with their web pages, and there's some new web pages coming out from our department pretty soon now that will give you some idea in terms of the areas, since I just sort of glossed over them in a general sense, as to what people are really working on, if they really mesh with the research interests that your students may have. That would be the first suggestion I would have. And then just reach out to them, email them. They're usually really open to that type of communication. And I think you'll hear back from them. You can determine if that's going to be a good relationship for you or something that can work or not.
Thank you.
We've had several students from Indonesia that have been fine students. One of them is on the board tonight with Fajar is here, and I would certainly suggest that you speak with him and ask him about his experiences and what that's been like.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Presby. For Prof. Michaels and Dr. Baulai, are there additional answers to question in chat?
I think mine have been pretty specific, and I've answered them in the chat, so I think I'm okay.
I think the only thing that I would comment is we're talking about how to connect people to faculty research. And just like the other universities, we have websites that can show you, and I can actually put what we do for our medical students. We have a point of contact for research for each medical discipline, pediatrics, cell and molecular biology. And so there's that one person that can really help guide to the other research going on. But one of the things that I think is the most exciting is we have some infrastructure grants that specifically can support faculty that would be from Indonesia that can join in a diversity supplement to our infrastructure building grants. So if you're a faculty member who's specifically wanting to come to Hawaii to do some of the research, maybe out of our tropical medicine, would be very useful, I think, as well. We have our MHERT program, which also does some global education for our students. So I'd be interested in those kinds of collaborations and providing that information if it's helpful. Thank you.
Thanks to all the speakers for your great presentation and the answer for the question from the chat. We continue to the fourth part presentation. We will listen to presentation from students representatives with the following speakers. Fajar Setio Wibowo, Doctoral Program Medicinal Chemistry, Auburn University, Fulbright Aminef Awarded 7. Claudia Antonica, Doctoral Program Microbiology, Virology, Indiana University, Bloomington, Student Academic of 20. Lovina Angelia, Studio Abdi, Doctoral Program, Development and Reproductive Biology, University of Manua, Graduate Assistancy. The first speaker, Fajar Setio Wibowo, the time 4 years.
Slide-nya saya bisa dilihat ya. Suara saya masuk? Suara saya masuk nggak ya?
Sudah terdengar jelas.
Sudah ya, oke. Just to make sure. Selamat malam. Salam kenal, saya Fajar Setio Wibowo. Selamat pagi waktu Indonesia. Saya PhD student di Auburn University Alabama. Untuk saat ini sekarang saya mengerjakan proyek tentang desain dan development dari agonis elixir beta selektif untuk penyakit Alzheimer disease. Sedikit background, saya mengambil S1 di farmasi Universitas Gadjah Mada, juga profesi juga di farmasis apoteker di Universitas Gadjah Mada juga. Lalu untuk master saya ngambil di Pharmaceutical Science di Universitas Gadjah Mada. Lalu untuk saat ini saya ada di program Pharmaceutical Science juga di bidang Medicinal Chemistry di Auburn University Alabama dengan pendanaan Fulbright, masih ongoing. Saat ini berada di tahun kedua. Sedikit cerita tentang perjalanan Fulbright. Fulbright ini cukup panjang prosesnya, tapi sangat rewarding untuk di akhirnya. Jadi dari tahun 2019 bulan Februari apply ke Aminef, lalu April 2019 interview, lalu Juli 2019 ditetapkan sebagai principal candidate. Nah, untuk Fulbright Aminef ini nanti kita akan diberikan kesempatan untuk tes TOEFL IBT dan GRE General Test yang akan dibayari oleh dari Fulbright-nya itu sendiri. Lalu November kita akan dapat submission plan. Nanti submission plan itu ada kita milih beberapa university. Lalu Desember 2019 itu ada proses untuk TOEFL IBT retake kalau seandainya TOEFL IBT masih di bawah yang kira-kira diinginkan dari universitas. Lalu dari Juli 2020 itu confirm admission ke Auburn University. Lalu karena 2020 itu masih masanya COVID, jadi saya mulai PhD program secara virtual untuk fall 2020, lalu baru yang spring 2020 bulan Januari baru sampai di US untuk datang secara in person untuk program PhD. Sedikit cerita tentang proyek saya. Jadi di sini cerita tentang namanya LXR itu adalah liver X receptor. Dia adalah suatu nuklear reseptor yang merupakan dia lipid responsif, transfer factor, ya dipengaruhi oleh adanya lipid. Jadi ada dua isoform, LXR alpha dan beta. Jadi aktivasi dari LXR itu sendiri dia dipengaruhi adanya kompleks dimer dengan LXR. Kalau dalam kondisi basal atau terrepresi dia terinteraksi dengan korepresor. Lalu kalau dalam kondisi teraktivasi dia akan berikatan dengan suatu ligan yang LXR itu sendiri biasanya terikat dengan suatu oksisterol atau sintetik ligan yang disintesis, lalu juga di LXR itu sendiri dia ada dengan retinoic acid dan akan terikat dengan suatu koaktivator untuk mengaktifkan transkripsi gen. Jadi LXR ini bisa banyak sekali manfaatnya, terutama yang pertama untuk treatment sebagai aterosklerosis, juga untuk liver fibrosis, juga untuk treatment Alzheimer disease itu sendiri. Jadi di Alzheimer disease itu ada namanya A-beta. Jadi A-beta ini jumlahnya akan meningkat pada penderita Alzheimer disease, dan LXR ini adalah fungsinya untuk mengaktifasi namanya ABCA1. Ini nanti dia akan mengaktifasi lipidasi dari atau FOE, itu akan terlipidasi lalu akan membantu dalam proses penghilangan A-beta dari otak. Jadi di otak itu sendiri, seperti yang saya beritahu sebelumnya, bahwa LXR itu ada dua macam, ada alfa dan beta, dan di otak ini LXR beta 5 kali lebih banyak dibandingkan dengan LXR alfa. Jadi target kita ke LXR beta ini bermanfaat untuk di otak itu sendiri. Nah, sebelumnya kenapa kok perlu ada obat baru di sini? Alzheimer disease sendiri belum ada obat yang di-approve oleh FDA untuk proses treatmentnya. Dan sebelumnya sudah disintesis 2 obat yang paling terkenal, yaitu GW3965 sama T090317. Itu dia ada efek sampingnya, yaitu meningkatkan triglyceride di plasma dan juga di liver, dan juga dia meningkatkan LDL di tubuh kita. Terus ada juga yang obat yang paling baru, yaitu BMS 852927. Itu juga masih ada namanya peningkatan lipid di liver dan juga plasma juga, dan juga ada penurunan neutrofil atau kita kenal dengan neutropenia. Padahal yang BMS ini dia sudah digadang-gadang bahwa LXR betanya dia 80%, sedangkan LXR alfanya 20%. Jadi diperlukan suatu obat baru itu untuk menghindari efek dari lipogenesis pentargetan dari LXR alpha. Jadi kita mentarget secara spesifik di LXR beta supaya menghindari dari efek samping yang tidak diinginkan. Dan juga kita ingin mengurangi amyloid beta pada penyakit Alzheimer disease, dan juga untuk menghambat liver fibrosis di model fatty liver disease model. Ini di proyek saya banyak menggunakan komputasi di awalnya untuk proses desain obat dan pengembangannya. Jadi ini adalah desain yang saya gunakan di sini adalah bagaimana penjelasan suatu obat itu yang sudah sebelumnya, kenapa kok dia punya efek samping yang menimbulkan peningkatan lipid di plasma dan juga di liver. Jadi di sini dengan pendekatan docking score dan juga interaksi asam amino yang berperan penting dalam proses aktivasi dari reseptor LXR alpha dan beta ini. Jadi dari GW3965 ini dia mengaktifkan keduanya dengan secara kuat. Jadi dua-duanya teraktivasi sehingga dia efek sampingnya yang teraktivasi dari LXR alpha ini tinggi juga. Lalu obat yang kedua yaitu T090317 sama juga, walaupun dengan docking score ya lebih kurang stabil. Jadi semakin rendah docking score-nya itu semakin stabil. Kalau semakin tinggi semakin kurang stabil. Namun dia tetap mengaktifasi di asam amino yang penting dalam aktivasi LXR alpha dan beta. Kemudian yang klaim ini yang 20% LXR dan 80% LXR beta, itu dia masih juga ternyata mengaktifasi asam amino yang penting dalam proses aktivasi LXR ini sendiri. Jadi keduanya teraktivasi amino asidnya sehingga masih menimbulkan efek samping yang tidak diinginkan. Ya sedikit cerita ini acknowledgement dari teman lab saya, Ian Stengke dan Xian. Komite member saya termasuk Dr. Rajesh H. Amin. beliau hadir juga malam ini, dan juga salah satunya yang perwakilan kampus dari Auburn University, Dr. Forrest Smith, Dr. Jack DeRuyter, Dr. Robert Arnold, dan Dr. Robert Judd. Sekian presentasi dari saya. Kalau ada pertanyaan, nanti sepertinya di belakang. Terima kasih atas waktu yang diberikan.
BIANKA.
Terima kasih Mas Fajar Setio Wibowo, satu presentasi yang luar biasa. Ya, karena ini penelitian yang mempunyai suatu masa depan, ya. Future goal-nya adalah sangat berguna untuk kemanusiaan. Presentasi kedua dari Claudia Antonika, saya persilakan.
Halo, can you all hear me? Bisa dengar semuanya?
Bisa, bisa.
Oke, so perkenalkan, nama saya Claudia. Never mind. Hari ini saya akan membawakan topik tentang project saya, which is about understanding host virus interaction during viral infection. So a little bit about me. I'm from Kediri, East Java, Indonesia. So halo semua yang dari Jawa Timur. Here is my education history. So I graduated from University of Nebraska-Lincoln from my undergrad, and then I'm currently a second-year microbiology PhD student at Indiana University. And I also put like why microbiology. I want to kind of share to all of you why I picked this major, because I think this major is very interesting. You get to learn about how diverse is microorganism, and that's why I'm going into this this major. And here is my contact. I put this contact, so feel free to reach out to me if you want to ask about like graduate school life, or you want to know about like how to apply in the PhD program. I would really be happy to help all of you. So before I'm going to my research, I want to let you know why I'm studying host virus interaction. So host virus interaction is a study about a relationship between the host and the virus. And this interaction is very, very important because it relates to the progression of disease. I used to think that host virus interaction is like in this picture, where you have a virus and the host competing with each other. And then when the virus is winning, you will get a viral disease. But this doesn't happen spontaneously. It doesn't happen without any reason. There's a lot of complicated mechanism on this. And then I'm studying how viral diseases happen, which is through this complex relationship between host and virus. And the same way, if you can clear out, if your immune system can clear out the viral infection, then you will have a healthy body. It also doesn't happen spontaneously. There is a kind of a signaling cascade that will explain how your body can clear up this viral infection. So this is the reason why I'm studying host virus interaction, because it's significant to know how disease progress, basically. All right, this is kind of a lot of science. I know it's complicated, but I'll try to summarize a little bit. So when we have a viral infection, we will, our body, our immune system will produce an interferon. Interferon is a signaling molecule that is used to alert the neighboring cell and also our adaptive immune response to respond to the viral infection. And what I'm showing you in the picture is the signaling cascade of the type 1 interferon. So there's different type of interferon, which is a cytokine. And my research is basically focusing on how viruses trying to antagonize the pathway, the type 1 interferon pathway, as I highlight in this picture. Here's the virus that I'm using as a model. So I'm using reovirus, which is a double-strand RNA virus with 10 genome segments. This virus is easy to work on, and so it doesn't cause disease in human, but it causes disease in like mice. So this virus is like a good model system for us to use as a tool to study host-virus interaction. Here's a little bit of picture from immunofluorescent microscopy that we have in IU facility. So on the left side is a picture of a infected cell. So the green fluorescent is actually the viral protein. So you can detect where the viral protein is. And then the red color is the viral factory. The blue color is the nucleus. On the right side, you can see it is a reovirus. It's a negative stain electron micrograph of reovirus, where it has 2 double layer capsid. So this is a protein that I'm working on my project. It's a sigma-3 protein. It's an outer capsid protein of a reovirus. And this protein, we found that this protein is actually antagonizing the type 1 interferon. So here is my project objective. And then, as I told you before, the type 1 interferon, it's already complicated, the big picture I showed you in the beginning, but this is actually the kind of like the more detail. And my project is to look at all of this pathway, what mechanism does this sigma-3 protein is interacting with this signaling pathway that inhibit the interferon or the cytokine. Because if you have less cytokine, then you are more susceptible to infection, right? So yeah, so all of this pathway I have to screen. And in my lab, we are developing a luciferase reporter system. I'm not going to go into detail on this because this is more scientific stuff. We can talk about it if you are interested. But this system allow us to detect whether sigma-3 is inhibiting the signaling pathway or not using our reporter, luciferase reporter. And our data suggested that sigma-3 could block these 2 pathways. So as you see in this picture, there are 2 pathways branching out. The first one is the NF-kappa B pathway, and then the second one is the IRF3. And so we found that the sigma-3 is currently inhibiting those both pathways, but we don't really know what is the mechanism. And so my big project is actually to figuring out what are some mechanism of it. Also, I'm currently studying how is the property of sigma-3 within the diverse reovirus strain. So currently I'm engineering a reovirus from different strains. So like I reassort the gene. I reassort the sigma-3 gene from T2J, for example, and then T3A, and then I create a new mono reassortant virus. And then I'm gonna study the phenotype and how it behaves in terms of the host immune response. Here is my lab. So I'm from Tanti Lab. You can open in the website. Our lab study a lot of things, mostly like reovirus host interaction, transcription, and replication. There's also CRISPR. We use so many different molecular techniques to address several research questions. Also, I would like to share to all of you, we have a virology group at IU. So we have some people studying alpha virus, rotavirus, and other type of viruses. So please go to their website if you are interested to study viruses. Here is a picture of like the virology group. And also on the top left is like where we took picture together as a woman in science. So I really encourage all of the women to go into science field. Anyway, so this is the day in life of a virology student. So at IU, we get to like learn so many different things. We get to do research, teaching. We get to do some extracurricular. So there are many things that basically graduate school is not only studying, it's much more, many things. Anyway, so here's just some questions that I put on my slide. So how to get to PhD program in the US? I would say the most important thing is to have a solid research experience and also have I mean, if you are a master's student, I think if you have a good publication, it will be really helpful for your application. Also, teaching experience is really nice because it will push your PhD application as well. And here's my reason on why I picked IU Bloomington. I think one of the most important things, aside from the research interest that you like, is the supportive and the supportive environment that we have. I think that's really important while you are picking graduate school. So make sure you really know who is the PI and lab member and people who you are going to be working with during your PhD program, because I think that's really important for your career and your life as well. Then here's I just want to share about the PhD career development. So at IU, there are two streams. There are two streams that you can go. You can go to academic career or industry career. And then we also have different type of like basically minor or like some certificate that could help you achieve that goal. And here is just some picture in Bloomington. It's just a college town with diverse community. You can do hiking, some outdoor activity as well. Thank you. Is there any question? I'm sorry, I'm going really fast because I know the timing is kind of only a little bit, whereas it takes time for me to explain my research.
BIANKA.
Thank you, Claudia Antonica, and the third speaker, Tofina Angelia Suryabi. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you again for the opportunity. Let me share my screen. Udah kelihatan?
Sudah.
Oke. Jadi selamat malam buat yang di US dan selamat pagi buat yang di Indo. My name is Lavina Abdi, and hari ini I'll be talking about a little bit on my research and PhD tips and tricks, and about PhD enrollment as well. Jadi just a little introduction, saya lahir di Semarang tahun 2000, and bachelor saya di University of Wisconsin-Madison studying biochemistry. Terus master saya di USC, di Keck School of Medicine, studying stem cells and regenerative medicine. And PhD saya sekarang di UH Manoa, John A. Burns School of Medicine, studying developmental and reproductive biology. And hari ini, since I'll be going pretty fast, kalian bisa kontak email saya atau Instagram saya to talk more about PhD tips and tricks atau just about my research. I would love to talk to all of you about it and give you application tips. Jadi, something I find very important in applying for graduate school, especially PhD, is getting your focus of research. Take time to explore your interests. You have time in life and you have to narrow down your research interests karena enrollment and like application admission really depends on your focus of research. Kayak Dr. Scott Michaels mentioned earlier in your personal statement, it's good to know your focus of research so you can apply better to the professors as well. So PhD enrollment tips, first of all, again, is to apply based on research focus and the professors you want to work with. I personally think it's more important dibanding kayak cari sekolah yang bagus because this is the person you work with for the next 5 to 7 years. So you do want to get a good professor based on your focus of research. The second is ask for recommendation letters. And this is really important as well because the admission team will only know about you mostly from the recommendation letters written by your professors or your teachers and also your personal statement. And lastly, contact potential faculty members you want to work with. And this is really important because if you can find a professor who wants to work with you and mereka bisa bantu with your application as well. Jadi I think it's very important to contact them before you also like apply just to know like what you want to do in the university. Jadi how to acquire a scholarship? I know kalau dari Indo banyak dari kayak LPDP, Fulbright scholarship and all. Tapi kalau dari the university itself, there's two main ways to get a scholarship, which is through teaching assistant and research and graduate research assistant. Now, teaching assistant itu you have to teach different undergraduates and sometimes also like masters juga kalau you're a PhD student. And for a research assistant, it's when you have to do research in lab, terus kayak find results on it, and the lab will pay you for it. And most importantly is to get research funding. It will help with your future studies as well. And yeah, it will help with your kayak lab mentor lah, biar dapat funding terus so you can do more research. Karena again, research is expensive. Okay, student life as a PhD student. I know a lot of people said kayak PhD student itu kayak bikin stress atau apa, tapi there's also good things coming from it. Kayak first of all, you get the freedom to choose your own working hours. Then ini I have to come in at 11 p.m. one time buat kayak ngerjain my stem cell model. Jadi it really depends what time you want to come. You can come in at 6 a.m. You can come in at 11 p.m. It really depends on how you want to build your schedule. And secondly, you're also responsible for your own learning and development. Yes, there will be mentor to help you. And like the picture here, my professor actually helped me through like different techniques in lab, but you're basically responsible for your own learning juga. You have to read journal papers, you have to ask people around you, find out ways to solve your own problem as well. But you'll also get the opportunity to network with a lot of people. You can present your poster, mungkin bisa ke conference, and sometimes there's travel grants juga yang will fly you out of like the country atau out of state to present your work, which I think is an amazing opportunity. And I was lucky to be living in Hawaii right now. Jadi kita ada Permias Hawaii juga. Jadi there's a strong Indonesian community here. Terus juga we're very adventurous. That's when people make me go skydiving. Terus kita juga hiking, sering banget hiking di sini. And the gym is such a big community here. And you can also pursue your hobby here in Hawaii. And there will be people supporting you throughout your graduate school, basically. And job opportunities after grad school is immense. You can go to academia or industry. For academia, mostly you'll work as a professor or in a lab. and you'll have to get your own funding sometimes, which can be challenging, but I think if you have passion for teaching, you definitely can stay in academia. And kalau industry, it's more, you can go a lot with industry. You can go into consulting, research and development, tapi it's more of a steady thing with industry. Jadi now a little bit about my research interests, and I'm gonna just go quickly through this because there's a lot of scientific things here, so I'm just gonna summarize it as best as I could. And so I'm currently studying epigenetics mechanisms in diabetic cardiomyopathy. Jadi epigenetics itu the study of changes in organisms caused by modification of gene expression rather than alterations of the genetic code itself. And ini tuh it's a really hot topic in the science world, soalnya kayak you can modify it because it's not permanent kan, and it is known to be involved in kayak aging, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and a lot more. So why study diabetic cardiomyopathy? Jadi 451 million people are diagnosed with diabetes in 2019. Bayangin sekarang abis pandemic, I'm sure there's a lot more people diagnosed with diabetes kan. And type 2 diabetes accounts for 90 to 95% of all diagnosed cases of diabetes in adults. Terus 33% of them suffered from cardiovascular disease and contributed to 50% of deaths to cardiovascular disease in the world. And a lot of people actually forget about this. Mereka kalau mostly kalau kena diabetes kayak, oh, I just need to fix my blood sugar and all, tapi they don't realize that there's something going on with their hearts as well, and that's why I want to study this. Jadi strateginya kita pakai stem cell model, kita pakai induced pluripotent stem cell and changing it to cardiomyocytes. And this is just the scientific model, and kita juga ada a few data showing the type 2 diabetic cells, which is a lot bigger than the normal cells. Terus mereka juga jauh lebih cepat and all. And this is just what we do in lab, and this is the cardiomyocytes yang bisa kayak beating and all. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Sorry, I have to rush through it because I know the time is short, but I would love to talk to you more about it through the questions, or you can always email me or send me a shoot in Instagram and all. And yeah.
Ya, terima kasih kepada
BIANKA.
Terima kasih kepada Lovina Angelia Seri-33, suatu presentasi yang bagi kami di Indonesia ini belum sampai ke sana, tetapi kita akan coba beberapa pendapat ya terkait dengan 3 penelitian. Sebelum kita melihat pada chat ya, pertama dari Mas Fajar ya, Setio Prabowo, ini memang penelitian yang menarik bagi saya sebagai klinikal di bidang infeksi adalah tentang beta agonis LXR ini untuk fibrosis hati ya. Saya sebagai penanggung jawab infectious disease di ICU COVID selama 2 tahun di RSPAD Gatot Subroto, itu kita mendapatkan beberapa kasus ya yang sudah mempunyai penyakit kronik pasca COVID itu menderita suatu fibrosis paru. Ini juga mungkin salah satu tantangan yang perlu menjadi perhatian ya terkait dengan penelitian Mas Fajar. Apakah ada suatu mungkin suatu konsep ya terkait dengan ini? Biasanya kita memberikan suatu antioksidan yang kuat ya selama beberapa bulan. Kemudian untuk Claudia Antonika ini juga satu penelitian ya yang saya kira akan terus berkembang karena interaksi host dan virus ini memang akan berlangsung sepanjang masa ya, terkait dengan masalah global burden ya, adanya pandemi, kemudian juga terkait dengan adaptasi host yang selalu berubah. Kenapa demikian? Saya kebetulan S3-nya di bidang dengue ya. Jadi ini mungkin yang ingin saya tanyakan, kita harus melihat dari misalnya tingkat sel, bagaimana patogenitas virulensinya, kemudian kaskade imunologi ya yang terkait dengan adaptasi host, dan yang penting lagi adalah clinical impact ya. Bagi kita ini mungkin ke depan misalnya sekarang kami menghadapi hepatitis outbreak ya, yang misterius itu kita sudah berapa kali tim pakar bertemu, ini kita juga belum menemukan. Ini juga menjadi tantangan bagi Claudia untuk mempelajari interaksi virus nafas pada tingkat sel. Bagaimana? Karena itu kan untuk liver itu dia punya sistem imunologi sendiri ya dari sel covernya. Kemudian untuk Lovina ini juga satu hal yang sebenarnya di bidang penyakit dalam ya, di bidang metabolik ini satu kondisi yang sampai sekarang kita juga belum tuntas ya, karena ini mekanisme epigenetik atau ekspresi gen dengan beberapa modifikasi modeling ini saya kira juga akan menjadi salah satu jadi satu yang luar biasa kalau nanti kita temukan suatu jalan untuk memotong ya kejadian-kejadian kardiomiopati, karena kalau sudah kardiomiopati kualitas hidupnya sudah sangat berat. Dan yang kedua yang sekarang kasus-kasus meningkat itu adalah kasus aritmia. Nah itu juga satu hal yang mungkin perlu menjadi pertimbangan dari ketiga pembicara. Itu mungkin yang pertanyaan dari moderator. Selanjutnya kita lihat chat apakah sudah ada pertanyaan. Oh jadi ini permintaan slide ya. Jadi kita harapkan keikhlasannya ketiga speaker memberikan slide-nya pada peserta. Saya persilakan mungkin yang pertama dari Mas Fajar.
Oke, untuk menjawab pertanyaan Pak Sorelardo ya, sebenarnya LSR ini sebenarnya nuklear reseptor secara keseluruhan itu sangat menarik sekali dan sebenarnya sangat sulit untuk ditarget sebenarnya, karena nuklear reseptor itu mayoritas dia punya, kalau dari segi desain and development obatnya itu dia punya semacam tempat ikatan obatnya itu mirip satu sama lain. Jadi kalau misalnya kita mendesain suatu obat untuk nuklear reseptor yang spesifik, kadang kita secara tidak sengaja mentarget yang lain juga, karena nuklear reseptor itu seperti yang saya ceritakan tadi bahwa yang RXR itu yang berikatan dengan LXR tadi itu tidak hanya berhubungan dimer dengan LXR saja, dia berhubungan dengan PIPAR dan sebagainya juga. Jadi kalau misalkan kita, kenapa suatu obat yang spesifik ini penting ya, jadi supaya kita tidak mentarget nuklear reseptor yang lain, karena begitu kita, terutama kalau misalnya obat kita itu mentarget nuklear reseptor yang lain, nanti satu tubuh itu nanti teraktivasi semuanya. Jadi makanya di sini sangat menarik. Kemudian untuk liver fibrosis itu memang ya ini liver fibrosis memang dia lebih ke arah LXR alpha ya. Dan di sini memang LXR alpha itu memang sebenarnya kalau misalnya kita mengaktifasi LXR itu semuanya pasti kena. Makanya itu kenapa kita pengen kalau misalkan kita mau liver fibrosis fokusnya kita lebih ke yang LXR alpha sendiri. Kalau misalkan yang misal Alzheimer disease karena itu banyak di otak, kita target yang LXR beta. Jadi di sini mungkin untuk proses terapinya ini memang ya nuklear reseptor itu memang agak sulit untuk diprediksi, dan ini memang penelitiannya masih sangat ongoing terus karena obat-obat sebelumnya tidak ada yang approve FDA karena semuanya pasti muncul efek sampingnya. Jadi diharapkan ini saya nanti di penelitian saya nanti pada outcome-nya akan menghasilkan suatu obat yang bisa spesifik seperti itu, Pak.
Oke, jadi punya suatu masa depan yang cerah ya untuk penelitian ini. Untuk Claudia, mungkin ada hal yang mau disampaikan dari pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang tadi diajukan?
Oke, untuk pertanyaan yang outbreak hepatitis itu, I think it's true that I am not studying hepatitis, so I'm not really sure. Tapi menurut saya itu tentunya di different tissue di dalam tubuh kita itu mempunyai imunologi yang berbeda. And I think that in the liver, like if they have different, for example, like interferon receptor, so probably it might impact the pathogenesis of the virus. But also we have to know how does this virus antagonizing the host first. We have to know what it is, because it's also we have to know that pathway before we target their therapeutically of how. But definitely yes, as what you said, that we have in our body we have different tissue, and all of these tissue have different immune response. So for example, in liver versus like in mucosal or in your epithelial intestinal cell, they all have different interferon receptors, cytokine receptor. So I think we still have to do more research to know about that.
Ya, mudah-mudahan nanti makin berkembang ya penelitian dan bisa menjadi satu novelty ya mengenai interaksi virus dan host ya. Yang ketiga dari Lovina Angelia, ada yang mau disampaikan?
Ya, I agree. Kayak saya setuju banget. Epigenetics itu it's a really hot topic, especially tentang di cardiovascular disease. Sekarang sih belum banyak research about it, and I think that's why it's very exciting. Jadi epigenetics itu, the reason it's is that kayak remodelingnya kan banyak kan. Jadi kalau kita target misalnya one thing, ada kemungkinan kayak kita kena something else gitu. Jadi I think it's essential to learn all the mechanisms in epigenetics that influence kayak cardiovascular disease and all that. And tadi juga dimention tentang arrhythmia, and I think it's a really interesting topic. And di lab kita actually ada one machine that it's called the microelectrode array. Itu nggak banyak di dunia, dan ini salah satu kayak di dunia yang ada actually. Jadi we can test the functional assays and the arrhythmic of the cardiomyocyte stem cells, and I think itu bakal jadi kayak research yang very interesting. And kita actually kemarin sempat coba-coba gitu kayak regenerate heart cells gitu dari this machine, tapi which is true, like we put kayak electric stimulation on the cardiomyocytes gitu, tapi then kayak at the same time juga kita masih nggak tahu kayak impactnya apa kan, kayak ya mungkin kayak bisa regenerate heart cells gitu, tapi nggak tahu nanti kalau ada remodeling epigenetics lain yang mungkin bisa kena kayak something else gitu, kayak kita masih belum tahu. Tapi I think these two topics are very interesting and will be the hot topic in research in the near future.
Ya mudah-mudahan makin berkembang penelitiannya karena dinantikan ya terkait dengan kasus-kasusnya yang terus meningkat. Terima kasih kepada ketiga speaker luar biasa ya, harapan Indonesia ke depan ya. Ini ada permintaan di chat ya untuk mengisi link evaluasi ya untuk para peserta ya. Jadi thank you for untuk Fajar ya, kemudian Claudia dan Lovina ya. Mudah-mudahan terus mengembangkan pendidikan dan risetnya dan sangat dinantikan oleh bangsa kita. Selanjutnya kita akan ke bagian kelima dari sponsor ya. Ini saya persilahkan apakah dari Fulbright atau dari LPDP. Ya, untuk sesi ini ada presentasi dari Ibu Debbie Derima, ya, dari LPDP. Kami persilakan.
Baik, terima kasih. Selamat pagi. Apa terdengar suara saya? Mohon maaf.
Terdengar jelas.
Baik, terima kasih. Selamat pagi untuk Bapak, Ibu, dan rekan-rekan yang ada di Indonesia, dan juga selamat malam yang ada di Amerika. Perkenalkan, nama saya Debbie dari LPDP. Biasanya mungkin yang menjadi narsum sebelumnya Mbak Lina, tapi mungkin beliau tidak bisa, sehingga saya mewakili untuk memberikan sedikit penjelasan terkait program beasiswa LPDP seperti itu. Sebentar ya, mungkin saya share screen. Baik, sudah tampil ya share screen dari saya. Oke, untuk LPDP sendiri, untuk di tahun 2022 ini, kami membuka 2 tahap pendaftaran. Tahap pertama itu pembukaan di tanggal 25 Februari sampai dengan 27 Maret, kemudian pembukaan tahap 2 nanti ada di 4 Juli sampai 5 Agustus, seperti itu. Nah, untuk saat ini sedang proses seleksi LPDP tahap pertama, yang kemungkinan nanti di bulan Mei baru akan ada proses selanjutnya, yaitu proses seleksi substansi. Seperti itu. Nah, untuk program beasiswa LPDP ini memang kurang lebih sudah ada 29.872 penerima beasiswa Indonesia yang tersebar di 34 provinsi, dan kebanyakan memang ada di dalam negeri, seperti itu. Sebanyak 68% dan 30%. Yang pertama adalah beasiswa afirmasi. Nah, di beasiswa afirmasi ini ada 4 kelompok jenis atau program. Yang pertama adalah beasiswa putra-putri Papua. Nah, kebetulan untuk beasiswa putra-putri Papua ini adalah beasiswa atau program baru di tahun 2022 yang merupakan sebenarnya mendapat masukan dari masyarakat seperti itu, sehingga memiliki beberapa relaksasi kebijakan. Jadi seperti mungkin untuk syarat bahasanya dan syarat IPK itu memang tidak dipersyaratkan seperti itu. Nah, untuk beasiswa putra-putri Papua ini adalah beasiswa yang diperuntukkan untuk putra-putri yang bermarga asli Papua, kemudian atau memiliki ibu kandung ataupun bapak kandung orang asli Papua, seperti itu, yang dibuktikan oleh kartu keluarga ataupun KTP, seperti itu, ataupun misalkan yang bersangkutan ini tinggalnya tidak di Papua, tetapi yang bersangkutan itu menamatkan pendidikan dasar atau menengah di Provinsi Papua dan Papua Barat, seperti itu. Nah, untuk penjelasan detailnya nanti bisa dilihat ya di website LPDP, di buku panduan itu kita komplit sekali gitu penjelasannya. Ini hanya sekedar syarat-syarat umum saja gitu untuk jenis-jenis beasiswa yang kami tawarkan. Kemudian yang selanjutnya adalah beasiswa daerah afirmasi. Nah, beasiswa daerah afirmasi ini diperuntukkan untuk para pendaftar yang memang berada di daerah afirmasi. Seperti itu, dan yang harus memiliki KTP berasal dari daerah afirmasi, kemudian memiliki ijazah SD atau SMP atau SMA dari daerah afirmasi, dan juga domisilinya pun ada di daerah afirmasi. Jadi kalau misalkan dia memiliki KTP afirmasi tapi domisilinya itu misalkan dia sedang kuliah gitu di Yogyakarta, dia menuliskan domisilinya itu di Jogja, nah itu kemungkinan dia tidak akan lulus di seleksi administrasi. Jadi memang domisili yang bersangkutan memang harus ada di daerah afirmasi seperti itu. Kemudian yang ketiga adalah beasiswa prasejahtera. Nah, untuk beasiswa prasejahtera ini memang diperuntukkan untuk calon pendaftar yang merupakan penerima bantuan sosial seperti itu, yang mungkin kurang mampu dalam segi finansial, kemudian diutamakan fresh graduate di keluarganya gitu untuk melakukan ataupun untuk mendaftar ke jenjang magister seperti itu. Nah, untuk selanjutnya adalah beasiswa penyandang disabilitas. Beasiswa ini diperuntukkan untuk teman-teman yang memiliki mungkin disabilitas fisik, mental, sensorik, ataupun disabilitas ganda. Nah, ini kita juga memberikan program khusus untuk penyandang disabilitas. Kemudian yang selanjutnya adalah beasiswa targeted. Nah, untuk beasiswa targeted ini kita memiliki untuk beasiswa kewirausahaan. Nah, beasiswa kewirausahaan ini adalah beasiswa yang sasaran pendaftarnya itu pengusaha ataupun mungkin orang yang untuk memulai usaha ataupun ingin berkontribusi dalam bidang kewirausahaan seperti itu. Lalu yang selanjutnya adalah beasiswa PNS, TNI, Polri. Nah, ini beasiswa khusus untuk para PNS ataupun para angkatan TNI dan Polri yang memiliki fleksibilitas untuk umur. Jadi umurnya memang lebih ini ya. Kalau untuk pendaftar untuk PNS ini memang disyaratkan itu 37 tahun seperti itu. Dan untuk TNI Polri itu untuk yang magister ya. Untuk magister itu di 40 tahun seperti itu. Nanti detailnya bisa kita lihat di website ya seperti itu. Nah, kemudian ada beasiswa dokter spesialis. Nah, kemungkinan untuk di tahap 2 ini akan dibuka, tapi memang untuk make sure-nya lagi apakah jadi dibuka atau tidak nanti tetap kita update lagi ya di website-nya LPDP seperti itu, karena semua informasi kita akan selalu update di website LPDP. Nah, yang selanjutnya adalah beasiswa pendidikan kadar ulama. Nah, ini juga kemungkinan akan dibuka di tahap 2 nanti. Selanjutnya adalah beasiswa umum. Nah, beasiswa umum ini memang ada 3 program beasiswa, yaitu beasiswa program perguruan tinggi utama dunia, reguler, dan juga beasiswa co-funding, seperti itu. Nah, untuk beasiswa peringkat perguruan tinggi utama di dunia ini memang ada 25 universitas gitu kan. Ada 25 universitas yang tersebar di 7 negara. Itu nanti ada listnya, list tersendiri. Dan untuk PTUD ini memang harus memiliki LOA unconditional. Jadi memang persyaratannya harus sudah memiliki LOA unconditional. Kemudian ada lagi untuk beasiswa reguler. Nah, ini beasiswa umum. Jadi misalkan kita di LPDP memang banyak programnya, boleh mendaftar hanya 1 program, tetapi memang disesuaikan saja gitu dengan latar belakang dan kriteria yang disyaratkan. Kalau misalkan biasanya yang nggak masuk ke kategori manapun itu masuknya ke beasiswa reguler seperti itu. Kemudian ada lagi beasiswa co-funding. Nah, beasiswa co-funding ini memang beasiswa parsial. Jadi dibiayainya itu parsial, jadi untuk dana pendukung itu nanti bisa, untuk parsialnya ini kita terbagi 2 seperti itu ya. Kalau untuk beasiswa co-funding ini, sebentar. Nah, untuk beasiswa co-funding ini terbagi 2, jadi misalkan dana pendidikan ditanggung oleh LPDP, kemudian dana pendukung lainnya ditanggung oleh individu yang bersangkutan atau kebalikannya seperti itu. Dan untuk beasiswa co-funding ini hanya diperuntukkan untuk program magister dan doktor luar negeri seperti itu. Nah, ini untuk jadwal pendaftarannya yang sedang berlangsung Untuk seleksinya kita selanjutnya adalah seleksi yang substansi ya di tanggal 16 Mei yang sedang berlangsung seperti itu. Nah, kemudian untuk dana-dana yang kita akomodir itu ada dana pendidikan. Dana pendidikan itu ada dana pendaftaran, dana SPP, dana tunjangan buku, kemudian dana tesis itu semua ada. Kemudian biaya pendukungnya juga, dana transportasi, dana aplikasi itu semua kita danai. Nah, di sini ada biaya pendukung untuk penerima beasiswa disabilitas. Jadi memang ada kita memberikan tambahan biaya pendukung untuk pendamping bagi yang penerima beasiswa yang disabilitas seperti itu. Dan untuk maksimal pendamping ini bisa untuk 2 orang. Jadi dari anggota keluarga ataupun orang lain itu diperbolehkan. Seperti itu. Nah, untuk kebijakan yang berlaku ini memang ada perbedaan di 2021 dan 2022. Untuk proses seleksinya, ada seleksi administrasi di 2022, seleksi bakat skolastik ini sebenarnya sama saja gitu untuk seleksinya, tetapi hanya penamaannya saja yang berbeda untuk seleksi bakat skolastik untuk yang saat ini. Kemudian yang ketiga adalah seleksi substansi. Jadi ada wawancara dan juga profiling seperti itu. Profiling dokumen-dokumen yang dilampirkan itu nanti akan kita review kembali seperti itu. Nah, kemudian untuk LOA. Nah, untuk LOA unconditional untuk tahun 2022 ini pendaftar yang menggugah LOA yang tidak sesuai dengan pilihan dan daftar PT tujuan LPDP maka tidak lulus seleksi administrasi seperti itu. Jadi memang harus dipastikan bahwa LOA-nya ini harus sesuai gitu. Jadi harus sesuai dengan perguruan tinggi yang ada di LPDP. Jangan misalkan memberikan LOA unconditional tapi LOA-nya itu dari PT tujuan lain gitu. Nah, ini bisa tidak diluluskan oleh LPDP untuk tahun 2022 ini seperti itu. Dan kemudian untuk pendaftar yang memiliki LOA unconditional itu dari semua program tidak mengikuti seleksi bakat skolastik. Jadi langsung gitu dari seleksi administrasi langsung ke seleksi substansi. Nah, ini keuntungan ya untuk teman-teman yang memang memiliki LOA unconditional pada saat mendaftar. Selanjutnya untuk surat usulan yang tahun 2022 ini wajib melampirkan surat usulan dari pejabat setingkat eselon 2 setara yang membidangi SDM untuk seluruh program jika pendaftar berprofesi PNS, TNI atau Polri. Ini khusus untuk program beasiswa targeted yang PNS, TNI, Polri ya, harus ada surat usulan. Kemudian tidak bisa mendaftar prasejahtera dan kewirausahaan seperti itu karena memang karena memang untuk program PNS TNI Polri ini memang tidak masuk ya ke kategori prasejahtera ataupun kewirausahaan gitu. Jadi memang tidak diperkenankan untuk mendaftar. Kemudian, nah ini terbaru juga nih di 2022 bagi teman-teman yang memiliki ijazah S1-nya misalkan memang lulusan luar negeri. Nah, ini harus disetarakan terlebih dahulu dan penyetaraan ijazahnya ini melalui website Kemendikbud seperti itu. Dan ini memang memerlukan waktu teman-teman untuk melakukan penyetaraan ini kurang lebih 1 sampai 2 minggu biasanya seperti itu. Nah, jadi memang harus dipersiapkan kalau memang teman-teman punya ijazahnya dari luar negeri gitu ya. Nah, kemudian kalau misalkan ternyata saat mendaftar ijazah tersebut belum keluar gitu kan dari mana? Dari Kemendikbud gitu. Nah, itu teman-teman kalau memang sudah mepet deadline waktu submitnya itu diperbolehkan untuk melakukan screenshot terhadap proses bahwa memang sedang melakukan penyetaraan ke Kemendikbud gitu. Jadi kita perkenankan karena misalkan hasilnya belum keluar itu diperkenankan untuk di screenshot bahwa memang sedang diproses dan juga melakukan konversi IPK-nya tersendiri mandiri di Sekolaro seperti itu. Jadi itu diperbolehkan. Kemudian untuk surat pernyataan setiap program itu nanti memiliki surat pernyataan masing-masing. Jadi itu bisa dilihat di website LPDP itu ada format-formatnya gitu ya. Nah, terus verifikasi KTP. Nah, verifikasi KTP ini sekarang LPDP sudah bekerja sama dengan sistem Dukcapil seperti itu ya. Jadi memang online gitu, terintegrasi. Jadi sudah kita verifikasinya langsung di aplikasi pendaftaran gitu ya. Kemudian untuk surat rekomendasinya itu sebelumnya itu dari atasan atau akademisi, untuk kalau sekarang itu dari tokoh masyarakat atau akademisi. Kecuali untuk beberapa program seperti beasiswa PNS, TNI, Polri, seperti itu ya. Lalu, nah ini tadi untuk relaksasi ya, kebijakan memang untuk beasiswa putra-putri Papua ini tadi sudah dijelaskan ya, jadi tidak ada IPK dan juga syarat IPK dan juga bahasa seperti itu. Lalu ketentuan pengabdian nih, untuk ketentuan pengabdian penerima beasiswa wajib kembali dan mengabdi di Indonesia setelah selesai studi sesuai dengan ketentuan LPDP. Nah, kembali ke Indonesia ini berkontribusi di Indonesia selama 2N+1. Jadi 2 kali masa studi ditambah 1 tahun gitu kan. Kemudian LPDP telah bekerja sama juga dengan Dirjen Imigrasi untuk memonitoring gitu kan teman-teman nih yang ada di luar negeri gitu, baik awardee ataupun alumni yang sudah selesai studi seperti itu ya. Nah, ini untuk program-programnya. Nah, ini bisa dilihat secara detailnya di buku panduan LPDP. Ini sudah komplit, persyaratannya IPK-nya seperti apa, kemudian syarat bahasanya apa saja yang diperkenankan. Ini sudah tersedia semua ya, teman-teman. Mungkin itu saja dari saya. Sekian dan terima kasih. Mungkin kalau ada pertanyaan terkait proses pendaftaran, dipersilahkan.
Terima kasih Bu Debbie atas presentasi dan penjelasan yang komprehensif ya terkait dengan LPDP. Saya lihat di chat ini memang belum ada pertanyaan, tetapi mudah-mudahan nanti dengan membuka website dan kalau memang berkenan nanti ada kontak person yang bisa untuk mungkin tanya jawab atau terutama yang dari daerah ya. Jadi ada pertanyaan dari Hikmah Maulidia, adakah beasiswa LPDP untuk riset dan publikasi saja? Jadi bukan untuk sekalian pendidikan. Mungkin bisa dijawab.
Oke. Ya, untuk tahun ini untuk hanya penelitiannya saja itu beasiswanya belum ada untuk tesis ataupun disertasinya. Gitu, Pak. Jadi memang ini masih yang full akademis gitu. Jadi memang tidak ada, masih belum ada untuk yang khusus penelitian saja, itu Pak.
Ya. Kemudian juga mengenai beasiswa dokter spesialis tahap kedua. Karena ini kan katanya dengan pendidikan ya di beberapa prodi spesialis, karena saya pun juga mengikuti prodi spesialis sebelumnya, mungkin bisa dijelaskan.
Oke, mungkin kalau untuk yang spesialis kan memang intake perkuliahan LPDP itu untuk tahap pertama itu kan intake-nya di Agustus 2022. Dan untuk yang di tahap kedua ini intake-nya paling cepat itu di Januari 2023. Seperti itu. Tapi memang dengan syarat karena kan prosesnya kita memang harus setelah seleksi Pak, teman-teman. Jadi kita setelah seleksi selesai wawancara dinyatakan lulus itu memang ada prosesnya lagi. Nah, proses selanjutnya ini adalah proses persiapan keberangkatan gitu. Jadi memang teman-teman ini mungkin agak mepet nih nanti terkait penjadwalan karena untuk berkuliah di kampus itu memang harus mengikuti persiapan keberangkatan terlebih dahulu seperti itu. Jadi memang mungkin nanti ini yang akan dikondisikan gitu untuk waktunya sehingga untuk intake perkuliahan itu memang paling cepat di Januari 2023 seperti itu.
Ya, terima
untuk
kasih.
Tambahan lagi mungkin untuk persyaratan dan ketentuan itu tetap nanti diupdate lagi di website LPDP karena takutnya nanti akan ada aturan atau kebijakan baru kan masih belum tahu ya Pak untuk persyaratan Apalagi yang dokter spesialis ini dibukanya di tahap 2 insya Allah, seperti itu.
Ya. Ini ada lagi mungkin ini pertanyaan terakhir ya. Pertama tentang pembukaan pendaftaran bulan Juli itu tanggal berapa? Kemudian apakah ada beasiswa untuk postdoc?
Oke.
Ya, ya.
Baik.
Terima kasih.
Baik. Untuk proses pendaftaran LPDP tahap 2 itu di tanggal 4 Juli sampai 5 Agustus. Jadi memang diberikan waktu kurang lebih 1 bulan ya untuk masa dan proses pendaftaran tadi itu di 4 Juli sampai 5 Agustus. Jadi mungkin perlu dipersiapkan dokumen-dokumen, persyaratan yang memang harus dipersiapkan, kayak tadi misalkan ijazah luar negerinya harus disetarakan, itu proses butuh waktu dan itu mungkin harus dipersiapkan jauh-jauh hari gitu supaya tidak mepet di deadline seperti itu. Dan kemudian kalau untuk yang beasiswa postdoc saat ini LPDP belum ada untuk program tersebut seperti itu.
Ya memang postdoc itu harus mencari sendiri lah ya. Nanti
Iya,
diambil jatahnya ya.
belum ada.
Ya, Bu Dewi, terima kasih sekali ya. Kami saya juga termasuk yang mendapatkan informasi ya. Mudah-mudahan nanti akan sangat berguna untuk kedepannya, terutama untuk kontinuitas yang akan melanjutkan pendidikan, karena kan generasi kita ini makin milenial ya. Tentunya mereka juga punya spesifikasi, karakteristik kepribadian yang berbeda-beda ya dalam memulai dan menyelesaikan tugasnya. Selanjutnya kita akan ke bagian ke-6 yaitu closing remark. Jadi pertama adalah informasi ya, pengisian link evaluasi apakah sudah dilakukan. Kemudian informasi kegiatan BIANKA berikutnya mungkin bisa ditampilkan. Ya ini nanti akan tampil ini dari beberapa university, misalnya dari Wisconsin, dari Oklahoma, dan juga dari Massachusetts ya. Jadi yang diinisiasi oleh Prof. Popi, tadi saya belum sapa ini Prof. Popi yang selalu dengan istiqomah ya menyelenggarakan kegiatan ini. Kemudian selanjutnya kita akan sesi foto bersama. Ya kami persilahkan bagi para pembicara yang masih ada dan para peserta untuk on-kan ini ya Zoom-nya. Untuk foto saya persilakan tim dari BIANKA.
Oke, baik. Terima kasih Pak Soroy. Dipersilakan kepada seluruh peserta untuk on kamera karena kita akan bersiap untuk foto bersama. Di sini ada 8 screen. Mari kita mulai dari screen pertama. Bersiap untuk foto. 1, 2, 3. Kemudian screen yang kedua bersiap untuk foto. 1, 2, 3. Screen 3. 1, 2, 3. Screen 4. 1, 2, 3. Screen 5. 1, 2, 3. Screen 6. 1, 2, 3. Screen 7. 1, 2, 3. Dan screen 8 terakhir. 1, 2, 3. Baik, terima kasih.
Ya, saya mewakili tim dan dari UPN serta dari Majelis Rektor Indonesia. Terima kasih juga kepada kepercayaan dari BIANKA untuk memimpin sebagai moderator pada hari ini. Mohon maaf jika ada kekurangan-kekurangan yang tadi dalam pelaksanaan kegiatan diskusi pada pagi dan siang ini. Saya kembalikan kepada tim BIANKA.